listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, baseball fans and fans of culture, welcome to another edition of West Coast Bias, presented by Baseball Isn't Boring. Joining me in the Wasabi Cloud Storage Man Cave is one of the realest of reals ones around. And on this show, we're not just going to talk baseball. We're also going to talk culture. We're going to talk pop culture. We're going to talk a little bit of everything. And that's why I asked my good friend, legend, real one, Julian Torres, to join me. Death Row Records' very own Julian Torres. Julian, how are you doing, my guy?
Yay! Muchísimas gracias, mi buen. Un placer. It's a pleasure to talk to you once more, and it's been a minute. It's been a ride, man, and I'm enjoying it.
No, hey, you've been a little busy the last little while. You signed to Death Row Records. You put out a record. If you're not aware of Julian Torres, he is the mariachi, in my opinion, right now, kind of out there. There's multiple mariachis. One of them we know is named Joe Kelly. He wears a mariachi jacket to the White House from time to time. He also owns this platform, but he's LA's very own Death Row recording artist. He put out a record called Época de Oro. If you don't, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that was my independent album. Now under Death Row Records, it's called Julian Torres y Mariachi Sensontle.
Yes, I was gonna say there's that record. There's the two records. Check them all out. He's got a litany of YouTube videos too. Also, and that's one of the reasons we're having you on today. He performs from time to time at Dodger Stadium, and they'll call him in from the pen to come do some bangers. And he did the All-Star game. He did some stuff for the playoffs, and obviously not the greatest of circumstances, but he did a beautiful tribute to the legend Fernando Valenzuela El Toro when he passed away a little bit ago. And so it's not a bad thing. I mean, that's just a little bit of the resume, but we'll talk a little bit about it with Julian. But first and foremost, Julian, before we get to all that stuff, how have you been, man? How's everything been? Because you've been on a little bit of a roller coaster the last little bit.
You know what? It was very good to take some days off. I mean, it's you're enjoying the moment, and sometimes you forget. Wait, you need a rest, and your body will tell you. Once you stop, it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. But I'm glad I was able to take some days off and just to relax and sort of just be, right, just be and really let your body just rest.
No, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, because you've been going all gas, no brakes for the last little while too. So it's good to see. Let me ask you, man. Going back to the beginning of this playoff series, you joined the Dodger Blue Faithful out there when it all started. Just tell me what that moment was like for you, because the first time you and I talked, I will never forget how just stoked you were about talking about performing at Dodger Stadium, doing the anthem, doing all that stuff. It went from that to just now you essentially have your own palenque out there in center field.
Yeah, man. I mean, it all started with the dream, as a little kid, being the first, being a kid throwing the ball at Dodger Stadium, winning a raffle from the WIC program to throw the ball, the first pitch there at Dodger Stadium, and turning and looking at my mom and telling her, for some reason, I'm going to sing here one day. And she would say, yes, mijo, aquí vas a cantar. Always the yes person. Yes, sí se puede, mijo, sí se puede. And now, looking back at all the opportunities that the Dodgers have given me and the city of Los Angeles have given me to perform there, a lot of times, and most of the times, it's just historic moments. Like I mean, obviously was able to sing at Hispanic Heritage Night, Mexican Heritage Night there at Dodger Stadium, singing two of the anthems, both American and Mexican back to back. That was a major one for me where I invited my parents and they were able to experience that. And then moving forward, the MLB requesting me to sing at the All-Star game there at Dodger Stadium. That was just a huge honor, being able to do that, to sing there. And then I've done the whole Viva los Dodgers event, La Gran Fiesta as well. Having my picture taken by the legendary John Soho, it's, I mean, I was just checking off like, this dream. Okay.
Just
This
the
next dream.
bucket list,
Okay, cool.
just filling your bucket list with
Just
just
like, whoa,
yeah.
all at once. And being able to sing the first time we were at the, I think, NL CS.
Yeah, I believe it was
NL,
a CS. Yeah.
yeah, that was the first time I went there, first performance. And at that time, Vicente Fernandez was ill, so being able to sing Volver, Volver, and just everyone, singing there, being emotional, that was a major event. Another historic event was when they retired Fernando Valenzuela's number. He called me up and they're like, "Hey, can you do it?" I'm like,
Can I do it? Like,
I'm ready for that. I've been ready for this since I was a little kid, So
yeah.
being able to do that, and I remember before performing, just thinking back on a memory, my dad working on the car echando mecánica in the garage and listening to the radio, the game, the Dodger game, and he would tell me, "Súbele, mijo, súbele." Because Jaime Jarrin was talking and he was talking about Fernando. He's like, Fernando va a jugar, va a lanzar, Fernando. And now I remember that moment before performing, and now it was surreal to me singing for legendary, en paz descanse, Fernando Valenzuela. And the song was Viva, Viva Mexico. And I belt out a scream, Ora, 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 Fernando. And he's walking, right? There's a video of this. He's walking, Ora, Sonora. And when I said Sonora, he turned and he glanced at me. And that glance kind of shook me because for a moment, my childhood looked at me, you know. So I had to remember that I was singing and I kind of fumbled a little bit, but it was just such a emotional moment for me to be able to be part of that historic moment there at Dodger Stadium with one of our heroes, you know, one of my parents here. That looking back on it, that player, that person that meant a lot to Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, being immigrants here in LA and kind of like, okay, put your head down, work. Para eso eres, para trabajar, para trabajar. I know most people isn't like that. That's the situation, but to my family, you know, is you're there and you're not seen. You're not supposed to be seen. So now Fernando Valenzuela being the top player, just shutting people down and just toda la gente, yeah, like, yes, this is who we are. Like we're badasses, you know? And being seen, I mean, he did more than just baseball. He lifted up a huge community at that time, you know, and so me being part of that, I mean, fast forward now being part of the NLDS for this year, and just I mean, I hadn't made an appearance at Dodger Stadium for the full season, so being called up to perform, it was just being back home and I mean the whole team that they had there, it's just an amazing rock star team. So I was just excited to perform there, and then I just threw it out in the universe. I'm like, Dios mío, cantar in the World Series. You know, we're taking it. Like I was like, yeah, we're going all the way. Like this team is gonna take it to the championship, and I'm gonna sing there. I'm gonna sing. Voy a cantar ahí. See, I mean, Dios quiere, se hace. Like you said, unfortunately, due to the circumstances, um, they call me, and just being part of that is just more. I think performing for Fernando Valenzuela overshadowed the World Series to me
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, World Series is okay. Like that was just a dream. This was before Fernando Valenzuela happened. I was like, oh, ojalá y se pueda. Then Fernando passes, and I'm like, oh my God. Like everyone was just like down. And then they call me. I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Like I want to do like the best job
And you
and
did. No, you crushed it, man. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. I mean, I talked about this on because the Bleed Los guys called me and we kind of had a reunion of sorts talking about Fernando, right? Because you said it best. Everyone culturally, right? Fernando was gente, right? Fernando was for la cultura. Fernando was for all of us that grew up kind of like you said, that with that immigrant mentality of, not we're not seen, we're here to put our head down, work, and just try to get ahead where we can, right? Fernando was kind of that voice of the voiceless, kind of for lack of a better term, even though he didn't do a
Mhm.
lot of talking, but
Mm.
the impact that he'd made on not only the community, but just uplifting kind of the profile of Mexico and everything. It's a big thing, right? But that's also a big undertaking when you really think about it, right? Because Fernando, to his credit, the reason I think you absolutely nailed kind of the tribute to him is because Fernando was very much the type of guy that did not necessarily want to be seen. He didn't want to be the front facing guy. He didn't want to be any of that. He was there to do his job. Hice mi jale. I'm going to go home, right? And
Mm.
and I think you kind of nailed it with the performance, with the way you went about it, because it wasn't ostentatious. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't anything like that. It was exactly what I think the proper way to honor Fernando, but also, for the culture, right? I mean, because that mattered a lot to Fernando. Era la cultura, the perception of raza, all that stuff, like all that mattered to Fernando. And kudos to you, man, because that's a tough spot to be in, because like you said, you wanted to perform at the World Series, and that's a dream come true. But then when you get that call, that's a tough call to kind of take, because it's hard to be excited to a certain degree, right?
Right. And I have to mention that a friend of mine, Data Barrera, was requested from the family, and that's why she's there performing with me.
Yeah.
Well, we're performing together the tribute, and yeah, this was actually last minute. I mean, definitely last minute. I think we had a day. Like I remember the day of doing interviews, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and just confirming like, okay, these are the songs, this is what we're gonna do. And so like literally last minute, I remember going with my wife close by because I was doing interviews, and literally at the table, just like she's looking at me, and I'm like listening to music in my mind, just like composing the transitions,
Yeah.
and God bless her. And I mean, she's like, okay, he's doing this thing.
He's in the
Like the
zone.
the
I'll
waiter's
let him
coming
be.
up, giving me the orange juice, and like this guy's weird.
You're right. Pobrecito.
I
Pobrecito.
know, and I'm just like just thinking about, okay, what's the best thing to do? The best tribute, the songs, and one of the songs was a request um
Oh, I didn't know
from
that.
the family. Yeah. I had the medley set to 3 songs, and because they only gave us, I think it was only gonna be like 5 minute, like a 5 minute little slideshow.
Oh, okay.
So um I got I got a message from Fernando's daughter, and she's like, "Hey, my mom is requesting this song." And it was Yo te extrañaré. And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Okay, let me ask them because, with MLB and Dodgers, they need everything just
Yeah.
specified, and just because it's on TV and everything." So
Yeah.
I was thinking, man, okay, how can I transition another song in there and just ask Data, hey, do you know this song? I mean, I know of the song. I had never performed this song. So I was kind of banking on her knowing the song as well, and having more experience with it. And I was like, hey, do you know this song? Are you able to sing it? Si no, yo me lo voy a echar.
But what else,
I
right?
mean,
What else can you do?
we got to learn it in what, 2, 3 hours? All right. I'll do my best. But she's like, no, I love that song. I'm like, okay, perfect. We'll open it up with you. Then I'll do Amor Eterno. Then you do the corrido because she had been invited to sing that as well, for a performance there at Dodger Stadium. And then let's end it up with El Rey. I'll sing a verse and then we'll finish the chorus everyone together, and just, make it of everyone singing, everyone singing out to our hero. And it worked out, man. It just he was, I hope he enjoyed it. I didn't tell the family that we're gonna sing that song, that they had confirmed it too. So
Oh,
I hope they it gave them a little bit of peace, because in those times, music, I'm a firm believer that music is a healer, and it lets you music lets you desahogarte, like just let it out. If you're really holding on, once you hear a song or anything, it just lets you grieve better, or it just heals you. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. This is what I wanted to listen to. So I'm happy at how it came out, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.
no, listen, it was a beautiful tribute. If I know there's videos on social media and on YouTube, go watch them. It was a fantastic tribute, and I'm sure you did the family proud. I mean, it's again, it's one of those weird, like, I'm stoked to be invited, but this kind of like it's just the circumstance, right? It makes it hard, pero como dijiste, te desahogas un poco, right? Like you kind of let it all out, and I think that's where everyone, I think, would agree that the tribute was beautiful, because that's the way I laid it out, right, is when we got the news that Fernando passed away, it was like an uncle dying, right? Like it was. So, everyone has that kind of family member that everyone kind of like gravitates towards, and that was Fernando, right, for the community. And so for me, that's like, it was tough. Even my wife was like, "Are you okay? Like, is everything all right?" So, just, this is a hard one, just because I know how much, it was a bridge with my dad and I bonding with baseball
Wow.
too, right? Because that's a thing culturally, right? Because I'm not going to speak for everyone, but a lot of people in La Cultura, our dads aren't necessarily the most emotional people, right? And our
Right.
grandparents, in some cases, weren't the most emotional people. But the things that we all kind of gravitated towards together was sports, was music, was food, all that stuff. And obviously, if you grew up in LA and your parents were around in the 80s and you were a little kid in the 80s, everyone knows about Fernando Mania. Everyone knows about, your
Oh,
uncles still talk about Fernando. And that one was a tough one, right? But to your point, the upside too is they won it for him, and we can't sit here and deny that they didn't win it for him. And I
where
wanted to
where were
ask.
you? Where were you when that grand slam hit, man?
So I was in Houston for work, and
Mhm.
we were ironically sitting at Biggio's in Houston watching the game on these two big ass screens. And
Wow.
I was like 7 Crown and Cokes deep, because I was stressed, because I was like, man, this is not happening. And then all that happens, and then Federico hits that grand slam, and I, like, my jaw hit the floor. You hear these Yankees and Astros fans. The Astros fans are clearly hate watching, but these
Right.
Yankees fans just, oh, what? And then there's the handful of Dodger fans that are there, just arms in the air, like that did not just happen. And
Yeah.
that was one of the crazier baseball moments that I've kind of been a part of. What were you watching it?
So when we finish the performance, a 7 inning stretch, then we're done with what we have to do there at Dodger Stadium, and we they kindly tell us, okay, if you have a ticket to come back in, cool. Once I'm done with my job, I leave, and it's become tradition that since we can't drink at the at the stadium,
Oh, right.
we go to our favorite spot.
Yeah.
It's a sushi place here. It's called Itsakaya M, and they sell like I think I always get it wrong, a schooner. So it's just like a bowl where they serve the beer Sapporo,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
like a chilled bowl.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I have my sushi and everything. So while we were driving there, I had the radio on and I was listening. I was like, oh, like you, like everyone, we were stressed out because everything that was happening, and then we get there, and as we're walking in, we hear like shouts, right? And I walk in, we sit down, and I look at the tape at the on the TV screens, and they had barely walked Mookie. They walked him intentionally, right? So then I see Freddie, and I turn to my wife. I'm like, babe, we need Freddie's mom right now. That's what I told her. We need it. She's like, no. I'm like, we need his mom right now. Like, I don't know, but we need her strength with him right now. And he pitches, and boom, that sushi place, and I think that whole street went wild.
Just lost it.
Just lost it. We were like, my wife was like, babe, sit down, sit down. I'm like, no, we don't even know. Like, we were high-fiving all the cooks, everyone there. I mean, everyone that was there was a Dodger fan, and it was such an electrifying moment to see it like in person. I got really emotional. I was like, man, that was because they walk Mookie to get to him. They're like,
Right.
he's hurt. Ah,
And that's exactly what it was. They thought he was hobbled. So they're like, this guy ain't going to do nothing. And then first pitch,
smack.
outski. And it was funny because I was thinking, so normally I'm a pretty antagonistic fan because I've worked in sports and I still work in sports. And so I try not to let the fandom get in the way, right? But
Right.
in the World Series, even like around our football facility, you know, dudes that know that I'm a Dodger fan are coming, hey, good luck to your Dodgers,
Right.
a lot of fuck the Yankees, a lot of a lot of that, right? But a lot of like, hey, you're a Dodger dude, let's go. And that was cool, right? All week, kind of all that. And I remember leaving the stadium, getting ready to go to dinner, and we decided to go to Biggio's. And I was watching the game on my phone as we're walking to this restaurant. It's like a 10-minute walk. In the entire walk, I'm not even focused. I don't even remember how we walked there, right? Because I'm just hyper focused on this game. Because really the only like sport that I really kind of hyper focus on aside from the sports I work in is baseball, right? As a fan, that's kind of the one fandom that I have is baseball. Anyway, walking, I'm not paying attention. I'm almost hitting children and women and whatever's in the way, dogs. And even my buddies are like, hey, you all right? I'm like, bro, I am stressed the fuck out right now. I need to just get to this restaurant and do it. And again, like 7 Crown and Cooks later, I'm pretty stressed. And even my good buddy Chris is like, hey, Butter, you all right? I'm like, I'm not okay. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And normally like in those situations, like I'll say something, not I don't go, to the effect I usually go is, all right, Freddie, hit a fucking bomb right here, right? And you just say that because that's what they're saying in the dugout too, right? Like, hey, Freddie, just
Right.
hit a fucking bomb. And having been a baseball player, that's just the way you talk. And I literally said, Freddie, just hit a fucking granny right here. And first pitch just crushes it. I'm like, no way. And as soon as he puts the bat out like this, so he really did that. My guy
And
really did that.
I love that he looked at them and
Yeah.
he just dropped the bat. He was like, there you go.
Yeah. Mic drop. Yeah. No, and that's one of those like I had a conversation with Chad Jennings from The Athletic right before the series started, and we talked about kind of different moments of kind of iconic moments that have happened in different series before we recorded. And I was reminded when after the fact when I recorded with Rob Bradford, who is number 2 in this operation, You think of these iconic home runs because Chad said the same thing. You think of different iconic World Series home runs, and you don't really ever think about like those iconic home runs when a team has lost the World Series, right? So I think I was thinking about this earlier. And again, we can always play devil's advocate after the fact because the series is over. But think
Right.
about if the Dodgers had not won the World Series and he hits that grand slam, and it's the first walk-off grand slam in the history of the World Series.
Wow.
And it would just be a footnote in the series because the Yankees won their 29th World Series championship. That's
Right.
really a crazy kind of ebb and flow when you think about sport. Because to go back to 2018, Max Muncy hits that home run in the 18th inning. No one talks about that home run.
Right.
And that was a crazy moment in World Series history, but no one talks about it because the Dodgers didn't win the World Series. That's where my head goes because, like I said, I'm pretty antagonistic, but I also, because baseball's just all moments, right? And you think about, like you said, you're at that restaurant, Federico hits that home run and just the entire place loses it, pandemonium. And
Right.
if it would have been the other way, think about how sad you would have been.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad I was happy though.
Yeah, no, I mean, no. Listen, I did I drink 7 more Crown and Cokes. I cannot confirm nor deny because I had an early day the next day, but I didn't care because the Dodgers won. I mean, and listen, it's one of those. It's either you hate the Dodgers or you hate the Yankees. There's kind of a no in between. So it was
Right.
already a weird series. But man, was I stoked. So let me ask you this:
Yes.
Dodgers win. You're at the parade. Which, by the way, every time I like go through my Instagram, I'm like, look at where's Julian now? Like, what's Julian doing today? And you're at the parade and you're partying your balls off just like everybody there. What was the vibe like at the parade?
Oh man. Well, first of all, we had to be there early because we had a lot of interviews. Well, actually, we had one interview. We
But
had
you had to
one
be there early to
interview
beat the traffic,
scheduled.
though.
Yeah. And you know what? I thought, man, I'm there 5:30. I'm early.
Yeah.
It was packed.
Oh shit.
It was packed. Like literally, it wasn't like, oh, okay, people are starting to get there. No, it was packed. People were there already. As I got close to Spring and First, which is where the city hall
Yeah, 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 yeah.
is in Los Angeles, they already had the rails blocking off the street for the parade procession. So I just barely got there in order to cross the street to get to where the interviewer was. And then they closed it off because there was so many people there already.
No, the pictures and the videos, like I knew there was going to be a lot of people because there was no parade in 20. It's been a while since there's been a championship in LA, right? Because the Lakers won in 20, so did the Dodgers, but there was no parade. Everyone has talked about it. We want that parade. They got that. So I was like, yeah, everyone's gonna go. Like everyone's, and that's what it looked like. It looked like everybody was there.
Yeah, it was such a everyone was super happy to be there. As I was walking, I mean, everyone was at that time was a little bit sleepy just because it was so early.
And when you
But
say 5:30, you're saying 5:30 in the morning, not
in
5:30
the
in the
morning, oh
afternoon.
yeah,
5:30 in the
5:30
morning.
a.m.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I have a video there. I'm like, hey, we're here. I thought we're here getting ready for the parade, and I see some fans behind me. I'm like, hey, go Dodgers! And they're like, they're just like waking up. So it was early, and I don't know if you guys know the weather this time, but it was a little chilly. So
Yeah.
a lot of people were getting there, but clear blue skies, and the vibe was just happiness, man. You could feel everyone just high fiving, and as I got there, they're like, "Oh, the Mariachi's here. The Mariachi, va a cantar, va a cantar. Hey, what's up?" Hey, and they knew my name.
Is
They're
that
like,
weird for
hey,
you?
what's up, Julian? Yeah, Julian. Hey, oh, it's Julian. Oh, ¿a qué hora vas a cantar? Right? They're like, oh, you're gonna sing. You're gonna sing. I'm like, hey, just giving high fives. Everyone's just happy to be there. And I get to my interviewer and they're like, oh my God, thank you for making it. And once I got there, another interviewer saw me and they asked me, "Hey, can we interview you after?" And then another one asked me, and then another one, and we started walking because I had another interview with I think it was with KTLA. So I had to walk all the way in front of City Hall. They had all the major um news outlets there set up. As I'm walking there, I want to say it was 50 feet away from where I was, 50 to 100 feet. So I'm walking and everyone's like, "Hey, can I get a picture? Hey, can I get a picture?" And it was just this whole high five. "What's up? Go Dodgers. Blah, 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 blah. You're here, Mariachi." Just pictures, pictures, pictures.
And by the
And
way, you're in full mariachi attire,
yes, I was wearing my full mariachi suit with my sombrero.
making Joe
And I'm
Kelly proud,
walking,
just full mariachi attire.
yeah, full mariachi. And most people were like, "Why are you here? Like, why are you here with us?" And I'm like, "Why not? I mean, we're all LA,
Yeah, yeah.
we are all LA." So a lot of people, "Man, this is so cool. You're here with us." And like, yeah, I mean, I was just getting my way towards the other interview. And once I get to the interview, I noticed that in front of City Hall, there's a park, and I think it's called Grand Park. I have to get
I think
that
you're right.
name.
I think that's what it's
Yeah,
called, though.
Grand Park. So they have the park, and it's closed off, and in the middle they have a DJ, and they have on each side of the DJ they have big LED.
Oh, like video walls.
Yeah, video walls. So I turn and I see, and they're all like the Dodger team that have been inside of Dodger Stadium, and one of them catches my eye and like, "Hey, what's up?" So I'm like, "Hey, I'm here." He's like, "Hey, come on stage." I'm like, "What?" Okay. So once I'm done with my interviews, I go close to them. "Hey, what's up, man? Nice to see you. Well, you want to do an interview?" And they call me up on stage for another interview. And I think that interview was projected inside Dodger Stadium.
Oh,
If I mean, I might be wrong, but um, so they interviewed me, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's a mariachi. He's gonna sing." Blah 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 blah. Like they all, like the whole Dodger community, just knows me, I guess, or just of mariachi. I want
yeah.
to say of mariachi, because they've had mariachi music there before.
But they automatically associate you with the mariachi.
The mariachi, yeah. So then they're like, "All right, well, how do you feel?" And I'm like, "Well, I feel great. We're champions, so let's get it all together and get the whole, crowd going, and let's sing together, Volver, Volver." And there's video of this where everyone's singing Volver, Volver, and it was just it feels like family to me. Just everyone that's there. Like, I know most people, well, some people had called me when I would perform at Dodger Stadium. They would call me after. "Oh, I saw you there, but you're working. I don't want to bother you." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Just come up and say hi. We're family. We're there. It's LA, and I have no problem, taking pictures."
Is it weird for you, like, as you're going through the crowd, you have all these people, "Hey, es el mariachi, es Julian, es all this and that." Is it weird for you now? Because I mean, candidly, you're already a very well known mariachi, but you weren't a what's the word? You weren't a what's the word I'm looking for? Like you weren't necessarily I don't know if like celebrity or well known person per se is the best word, but I think understand what I'm saying, right? Like
Yes.
you weren't like in the spotlight per se, and now with everything's going on, right? That you've for the people that don't know, you came out with Snoop Dogg on America's Got Talent.
Oh, on The Voice.
on The Voice, excuse me.
Yes.
All those shows run together for
Yeah.
me. You like I mentioned, you're signed to Death Row. You've done some high profile stuff, even with Snoop Dogg. Now that your life has changed a little bit, right? And then obviously the Dodgers stuff. Is it weird for you when you're walking through trying to just do what you're trying to do, and then people are like, "Hey, it's Julian, oh, it's El Mariachi, blah blah blah," like trying to stop you, take pictures, or how do you take it?
It's exciting because I love what I do, right? I could sing wherever, and I'm happy. And when people, I guess I take it as like recognition, and they recognize what I do and I make them feel a certain way. And that's always nice. I know I'm getting to the point where I don't even want to say that, but the only thing that might be now starting to happen is that, okay, I'm here at point A and I have to be at point B by a certain time. So it crosses my mind where I'm like, okay, I can do this very fast so I could get there on time.
Right.
Does it bother me? It does not bother me. It doesn't bother me that this is happening. Um, and it's a little surreal because, yeah, when people know my name, when people sing my song or know of my song or know, oh, with Snoop or know of that, like, wow, yeah, this is, it's getting bigger, right?
Yeah.
Um, way back when it was just my family members knew of me. Or people that, either went to performances that I've done. It's like, oh, I saw you here and blah, blah, blah. But when you're attached to a huge entity, which is global entity like Snoop Dogg, is just multiplies 10 times full. So it's a little surreal to me that this is happening, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And y no me voy a cansar. I don't think I'm ever gonna get tired of just, yes, una foto, yes. Yes, hey, what's up? Can I say? Yeah, I'm good. As long as you're not gonna hurt me, I think that's the only place, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
yeah.
coming up with, aggressivity and you're gonna try to hurt me or my team, then I think that's where it'll kind of be weird. But if we're cool, we're enjoying it, I'm more than happy to take that time because of, people like you. I always say it, we're in the city of angels, and I've been blessed with so many angels like yourself that give me the opportunity, and people that are supporting me essentially and talking about me and reposting. That's the least I could do, you know.
No, and I appreciate the kind words because I'm far from, but I appreciate the kind words. I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, and we've talked about this before. When you have homies, you gotta support your homies in every which way possible, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
downloading a record, listening to a song on Spotify, reposting your homie stuff. I mean, that's how how you show support to your people, right? Is you
Correct.
gotta be front facing with it. And the weird thing for me is having done stuff with Snoop, and then obviously knowing you, it's a weird, like, that's the weird thing about our world. We're all like a degree away from each other, and it's weird, like when you really sit down and think about it. But it's always cool when homies get together to do stuff, especially when it's this sort of stuff. And like I said, I couldn't be more happy for you. Julian Torres, Death Row Records recording artist, joining us here for a couple more minutes on West Coast Biased, here in the Wasabi Man Cave. For the record, he has a couple shows coming up December 7th, the Rialto Theater in Tucson, Arizona. Buy your tickets for that. And also, if you're in Orange County at Santana Stadium, Power of One Foundation presents La Fiesta del Mariachi with yours truly, Julian Torres, performing there on December 8th. Get your tickets for those. Julian, before I set you loose, I wanted to ask you, for you, kind of as the season's over, and the thing we do now with baseball, right, is this is kind of the romanticization of baseball, right? We all look back and you kind of think of like the season that was. For you, outside of the World Series championship, the clincher, all that stuff, for you, what was kind of the moment from the season that you kind of realized that this was a special season for LA and for the Dodgers?
I mean, acquiring Otani, acquiring Yamamoto is just seeing them perform. I mean, you know what? I feel a little bad for Otani because I know he wanted his home run in the World Series.
Yeah, he did.
I know he really just wanted to show. I mean, he's an ace. He's an ace, and he did a lot to get us there as well. So, I mean, just what ifs don't exist, right? But I think he really wanted his home run, and I think everyone wanted him to have that. But you know, that having acquired those amazing players and seeing them just rise, like the whole team coming together, um, Teo Hernandez and Kike Hernandez, and then just Freeman just doing these amazing things, and I knew from the beginning it was like, okay, this is gonna be amazing because it's they're just having a perfect season
Yeah.
as well. So um I had a feeling, and I had spoken last season to the people that contract me. I'm like, we're gonna get that World Series performance. Like a year ago, last season, I was like, we're gonna get it. I don't know how, but it's gonna happen. Like she's like, okay, well we'll work on it, blah blah blah.
And look at us
But
now.
it's gonna happen. Like we're gonna get the World Series performance. And seeing how they built this roster, man, is just amazing. You know, they had an amazing team, and that man, I think Roberts really was just man under the pressure of, hey, you gotta do it because you have an amazing team, and you're not gonna be able to. No,
No, I mean
that's
that's a tough job, man. Like I don't I feel like I mean, listen, he's gonna get a nice pay raise, so no one's gonna like feel sorry for him, right? But that's a tough job. That's a really hard job. And I mean, he himself said that the only other person that kind of understands the scrutiny of the job that he has is the guy that was on the other side for the World Series, Aaron Boone, right? Because he's under a microscope in New York trying to make all that stuff work, right? So it's man, it's that's such a tough job. And here's the thing, for him to go about it the way that he does and kind of with the humility that he does, that's also impressive in itself because here's the thing, now that dude, you have a serious case for a Hall of Fame manager.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's a very special thing in LA because I mean we're talking some of the best managers, if you will, from a Hall of Fame standpoint, and that's a tough one, and that's talking with Shohei Ohtani on the roster, with Yamamoto on the roster, with Federico on the roster, with Mookie Betts on the roster. We
Mookie.
didn't even see Clayton Kershaw, right? We didn't like. There's all these superstars, and it goes back to like you said, it's all LA, right? Like this all of LA kind of celebrating it together. I am just upset that I haven't told a lot of people this, Julian, so I'm going to tell you because I trust you because
Okay,
you're a friend. I
thank you.
booked a vacation around the World Series like an idiot, and I took that vacation, and so that's why I wasn't able to not only not go to a World Series game but not go to the parade.
Oh
Even
man.
so, even my wonderful wife was like, what are we doing here? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're not going to try to go to one of these games? I'm like, no, we've had this booked for a while. Well, a bunch. She's like, it's the World Series. I'm like, I know. So I selfishly I fucked up. I fucked up tremendously. But happy wife, happy life, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Julian, I as always, my friend, I appreciate your time. You're one of my absolute favorite people to talk with. I could talk hours music with you, but uh we'll save that for another time because you and I are so passionate about music and giving back to the younger generation on the musicality side. But we'll save that for another day because right now we're going to gloat a little bit because the Dodgers are World Series champions, and that's why we're talking parades, talking performances at Dodger Stadium. And you know what? This is where I'm at. Not only do I need you to tell me the lottery numbers for whatever the Powerball is, but I need you to will it into existence that the Dodgers will go back to back next year with whatever the roster is. So that way I can go to the parade with you and I'll be like, hey, I'm his security guy. So we're
Yeah,
we're here, we're
definitely.
here doing the thing.
Well, let's get it going. A repeat, get another World Series because we gotta get more of those nice little trophies.
Yes.
Not little, right?
No, no, no. I mean, we
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 gotta
need
get
we need
more of them, and I think we deserve it. I think it's a great team. It's a great city. And yeah, we gotta have more performances. Definitely.
Yes, more mariachis, all the time at Dodger Stadium. Julian, for the people listening, where and the people watching, because this will be on YouTube, where can they find you and follow you and all that good stuff on the internet?
Well, you can go to my Instagram. I'm on Instagram mainly at Julian Torres, well, Julian Torres _oficial with one F, oficial. And you could go to Facebook. I posted the performance, the Fernando Valenzuela tribute on my YouTube channel, and it's a lot of people have been enjoying it. So I'm glad. A lot of people messaged me on that. Hey, do you have footage? Because they don't broadcast those performances.
Right.
So I was fortunate enough to have my team there, and they recorded at least something there, and I posted on my YouTube, and just for the fans and for all of Dodger fans in LA. And so I have a YouTube channel. I've been working on TikTok. TikTok is, hey, my hat's off to all the TikTokers out there. And but no, I have a website as well. I've been doing my best to reboot it with all this footage that I have now. At Julian Torres Oficial with one F.com. We have an agent also, so if you have any performances that you would like me to be at, hit me up, send me a message, and we'll be more than happy to sing for you.
Please follow Julian on all the platforms. He's a great follow. I know he's working on some stuff that he's going to be announcing soon, so keep an eye out for that. And also shout out to the homies from Born and Raised. They're doing some shit with Julian too. They're doing a collab that by the time that this episode drops, will be out with the legend Juan Gabriel. He's been a part of the art for that too. Shout out to everyone over at BXR. It's Spanto lives forever. But
Yes.
It's one of those where you're all over the place, man. You're doing all the things LA and all LA all the time, and man, I'm here for it. And like I said to you, I'm so happy for you that the trajectory has gone the way that it has, and I know it's only going to keep getting better, brother. So I really appreciate you making the time.
Well, I'm excited to see you there at the same. Even before, we got to get together and just chill once you're back in town.
Let's do it. We'll get together. I'll have 7 and Crown and Cokes and drink my woes away, and you'll have some sushi at that spot, and we'll hang out and we'll call it a day, right?
Yes, sir.
It's been another episode of West Coast Bias presented by Baseball Isn't Boring. Our good friends at Wasabi Cloud Storage. If you have cloud storage needs, go holler at our friends at Wasabi Cloud Storage. Google them, follow them, search for them, buy their cloud stuff. They rip. Thank you, Julian, my friend, and we will talk soon.
Gracias a ti, un fuerte abrazo. A ti y a la familia.
Igualmente, carnal.